So, about code reviews. Have you noticed how some developers just throw their changes into the pool and hope it all works out?
Yeah, it's like they're playing a guessing game. I mean, who wants to be that guy fixing everyone else's mess?
Exactly. It's important to establish clear guidelines. Like, every function should have a docstring explaining what it does. And no hard-coded values, only constants.
Right, but sometimes it feels like overkill when the project is small and tight on time.
Time isn't an excuse for sloppy work. You know, once I had to debug someone's code where they used X as a variable name everywhere. Absolute nightmare.
Haha, yeah. Mindewa. Shannon, Gao, and No. Time could be anything.
We need to emphasize consistency and readability. Naming conventions should be followed strictly. No more random abbreviations or single-letter variables unless absolutely necessary.
Agreed. Though sometimes it's tempting to use short names for quick fixes.
Quick fixes can become permanent issues if not properly reviewed. Every change must go through at least one other set of eyes before merging. Automated tools can help catch basic errors too, but human oversight is crucial.
True, but then there's the debate about whether code reviews should focus solely on functionality or also on style and formatting.
Absolutely, it's a balancing act. But let's talk about automated code review tools. Have you had much experience with them?
A bit, yeah. They can catch simple stuff like formatting and basic logic errors pretty well.
That's true, but they can also miss more complex issues that require human judgment. Tools like ESLint or SonarQui are great for maintaining coding standards and catching common mistakes early.
Definitely helps keep the code clean. Although sometimes they flag things that aren't really issues, which can be annoying.
True, false positives can be frustrating, but they force us to think critically about our code. Plus, these tools often come with plugins and extensions that integrate seamlessly into development environments, making the process smoother.
Yeah, having everything integrated definitely makes it easier to follow through with regular review.
Exactly. The key is using them as a complement to manual reviews rather than a replacement. Automated tools can handle the grunt work while we focus on the deeper aspects of the codebase.
Makes sense. It's like having a robot do the boring tasks so humans can tackle the interesting problems.
Absolutely. And speaking of complementary approaches, let's talk about peer feedback mechanisms in code reviews. How do you feel about the current setup we have?
It's good, but I think there's always room for improvement. Sometimes it feels like we're just going through the motions without really delving deep.
That's a valid point. Peer feedback should foster a culture of continuous learning and improvement. Regular, structured sessions can help ensure that everyone gets constructive input.
Right. Maybe setting up some guidelines on how to give effective feedback could help.
Definitely. For instance, specific examples are better than vague comments. Instead of saying, "This part is unclear," pointing out exactly why it's unclear and suggesting improvements would be more helpful.
Agreed. Also, having a mix of positive reinforcement along with critiques might make people more receptive to feedback.
Exactly. Positive feedback encourages contributors to keep up the good work while constructive criticism helps them grow. Pair programming sessions could also enhance this process by allowing real-time collaboration and immediate feedback.
That sounds like it could be very beneficial, especially for newer team members who might not be as confident yet.
Absolutely. And another aspect to consider is integrating unit testing with the code review process. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it makes a lot of sense. Unit tests can catch bugs early and provide a safety net for refactoring.
Exactly. Having comprehensive unit tests ensures that new changes don't break existing functionality. It's crucial to run these tests before any code goes through a review.
Definitely. And if the tests fail, It gives clear evidence of what needs fixing without subjective arguments.
That's right. Automated test runs during code reviews can save a lot of time and prevent regressions. Continuous integration systems can automatically trigger these tests whenever someone submits a pull request.
Yeah. CD pipelines are really useful for this. It keeps the feedback loop tight and ensures that everyone is working from a stable base.
Agreed. Plus, it encourages developers to write tests as part of their daily routine, improving overall code quality and maintainability.
True, and having a checklist or guidelines for what should be tested can help ensure nothing falls through the cracks.
Speaking of ensuring code quality, let's talk about documentation practices during code reviews. How do you feel about the importance of good documentation?
Documentation is super important, but it can be a pain to keep up with, especially when things change quickly.
That's true, but thorough documentation can save a lot of time in the long run. Every function should have a docstring explaining its purpose and parameters. Larger components or modules should have their own README files.
Yeah, having those readmes is really helpful. It makes it easier for others to understand what each part does without digging through the code.
Exactly. And don't forget about updating documentation as the code evolves. During code reviews, we should check if the changes are reflected in the docs.
Good point. It's like keeping a map updated as you explore new territories.
Precisely. Proper documentation not only aids new team members but also helps maintainers track down issues faster. Including examples in the documentation can also be incredibly useful for users and contributors alike.
Definitely. Examples make it much clearer how to use certain functions or classes correctly.
That's a great point. Now, let's talk about handling merge conflicts and updates in reviewed code. How do you approach dealing with those situations?
Merge conflicts can be a hassle. It often feels like you've fixed something only to find out it needs fixing again.
Indeed, they can be frustrating. But having a consistent branching strategy can help mitigate this. Using feature branches and regularly rebasing them onto the main branch can reduce the likelihood of conflicts.
Yeah, that makes sense. Regular rebasing seems like it would keep things more aligned.
Absolutely. When conflicts do arise, resolving them promptly and thoroughly is crucial. The person who introduced the conflict should take responsibility for fixing it and ensuring the changes still pass all tests.
Right. And having automated tests run after resolving conflicts can catch any issues early on.
Exactly. Continuous integration systems can be configured to automatically rerun tests upon resolution of conflicts, providing immediate feedback on whether everything still works as expected.
That would definitely help streamline the process and avoid pushing broken code back into the main branch.